Hey all, today I'm going to be telling you how to invest or how to make money with only £100. You can use these ways to turn your £100 into thousands and thousands, maybe even tens of thousands, and you can use that money to invest in property or stocks or something else to hopefully one day build a sum big enough to retire with. If you enjoy this video or it teaches you some new ways to invest and make money, then be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now let's get started. First off, before we talk about the ways that you can use your £100, there's something really important that you have to do beforehand, and that's to pay off any high interest rate debt that you might already have. Let's talk about why you have to pay off the debt first. When you're investing, you might make a 5% return, a 10% return, maybe even a 15% return, especially if you're using a larger account size or more money, because you'll probably be taking a lower risk approach. If you have less money, you might be taking a higher risk approach and make a better return, but it's still always advisable to pay off the debt first. And it's because that high interest rate credit card debt or payday loans or bad car finance might be at 15, 20, 25% interest or above. So therefore, even if you make a good return of 15% on your investments, it might be entirely wiped out by this bad debt that you have. So the first way you can invest your £100 is in stocks. But I'm not talking about investing in something like the S&P 500 or Microsoft or Google or some kind of slow moving stock where you might make a 5% return or a 10% return. Obviously a 5 or 10% return is great. If you've got a really big account size with like £1 or £2 million in it, then yeah, 5 or 10% is great. But obviously if you've only got £100, then making 5 or 10% profit really isn't that great. So what you want to do if you're using a smaller account size, maybe it's £100, maybe £500, maybe a little bit more, is to use leverage. And using leverage, that means you can borrow money from the stock trading platform. So instead of using your £100 to buy £100 worth of Tesla, you could use your £100 to buy £500 worth of Tesla, because you'd be borrowing that £400 from the stock trading platform. And therefore, if Tesla goes up 10 or 20%, you're not just making 10 or 20%, you're making 50% or 100%, or maybe even more if you're using a bigger than a 5 times leverage. Now, I'm not talking about going crazy and using 100 times or 400 times leverage, because that's the easiest way to blow up your account and lose all your money. Because if the stock goes down like 0.001%, then boom, you've lost all of your money. Using something sensible like a 3 times leverage or a 5 times leverage, maybe even a 10 times leverage, can massively increase your profits, but without that huge amount of risk that even if the stock falls by this much, you've lost everything. And as long as you're still being sensible while you're investing and managing your position size and cutting your losers if you're wrong and trading based off value investing or trading based off the news, just kind of anything where you can increase the probability that you're going to make a profit and decrease the probability that you're going to make a loss, then you should make some fairly good profits. And obviously you could end up doubling or tripling your account fairly quickly. The type of stocks that I would advise investing in are those that are fundamentally underperforming at the moment. Right now, as of June 2020, this is actually really quite easy to spot, because there are so many stocks out there where their stock price has been massively impacted by the virus going around. It's dropped like 30%. But actually the companies are still fundamentally operating exactly the same as they were beforehand. Take credit card companies, for example, or some food delivery companies. Their stocks have actually dropped by like 30%, maybe even half of their value. But actually they might even be making more money now than they were beforehand. And the most important thing here is that it will give you practice for the future. When you have saved some more money and you're ready to invest with tens of £1,000s or maybe hundreds of thousands of pounds, you'll completely understand the fundamentals of trading and know how to react and actually how to trade. Getting started and practicing is actually the most important thing. The next way to invest £100 is by starting a business with a low startup cost. 2 great examples of these are a car detailing business and a window washing business. I'm sure you've all heard of Topaz Detailing or Posh Wash, and these are 2 multi-million pound car washes. And it's got to the point now where they can charge their customers hundreds of pounds, even thousands of pounds for a car wash. They actually charge, I think the highest price at the moment for a car wash is £7,200 for a car wash. And obviously it's rich millionaires and billionaires that get their Bugatti cleaned for £7,000. And ultimately at the end of the day, Both of these businesses started by someone going out there, buying some car wash products and washing some cars. Obviously they then got really good reviews and built on it and built their business, but ultimately it was started by someone going out, buying a mop and a brush and a sponge, and some soaps and different bits and pieces like that, and just washing cars. And if you've looked on a Facebook group local to you, you've probably seen loads and loads of people posting in there looking for recommendations for someone to come and wash their windows. People are quite happy to pay 20, 50 quid for you to come and clean the windows on their house. These are two great businesses that you can start with a very small amount of money, and they're really easy to advertise as well. If you live in, say, Bournemouth, for example, if you go on Facebook and search for a group like Bournemouth Friends or Bournemouth Buy and Sell, you'll be able to find all these people looking to find someone to wash their windows. And you can comment on it, wash their windows, get some good feedback, and they'll probably advertise you by word of mouth and telling all their friends. And again, this is a business that you can really easily start with £100 or maybe even less. All you need to do is go out and buy some equipment, some car washing products, maybe even have a little bit left over for some flyers to post through doors. If you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to smash the like button down below to help out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you don't want to start a car washing business or a window washing business, you could just start any other kind of business, maybe a clothing business or something related to your job. Maybe you're an accountant and you've just qualified. You could go and start your own accounting practice, or maybe you're an electrician. You could go and start your own electrician company, or a plumber, or a builder, or anything like that. Again, these kind of businesses you can realistically start for quite a small amount. To be an electrician, all you need is some tools, and you can buy the materials with the money that you get paid from the job. And to be an accountant, all you really need is a bookkeeping software. And again, similarly with a clothing business, all you really need is some money for some samples. And then you could run a pre-order process where customers pre-order your designs, and you could use that money that they give you to actually buy all the stock. The fourth way to invest £100, and this is going to sound really cliche, but is to invest in yourself. And what I actually mean about that is to improve your knowledge, maybe learn a new skill, maybe read a book on investing to learn how to read charts, or maybe read a book on saving. Actually, maybe just watch my video here to learn about saving. Anything that improves your knowledge on money is going to give you a great return. If you learn how to save more money or learn how to earn more money from a job, then you can use this additional money that you save or earn to invest. And then you'll have more money to invest, not just £100. Maybe you'll have a few hundred or a few thousand to invest. Maybe after you read a book like Rich Dad Poor Dad or any other kind of entrepreneurial investing related book, you might realise that you've actually got some spare time. And you could pick up a side hustle or pick up a part-time job on the weekends, and that'll earn you more money that you can funnel in to investing or starting a business. Another way you could invest £100 is in property. And I know a lot of you are going to say, whoa, hang on a second, Tom. You can't buy a property for £100, and I completely agree. You could do some strategy like deal sourcing or lease options, but I don't really advocate these because the chances of success are so low. What I'm talking about is investing in a REIT. And a REIT, or a real estate investment trust, is a company that goes out and buys properties. So you invest a small portion into this property, like buying part of a stock, and this company then go out and buy properties, maybe as rental properties or as flips or just something like that. And then obviously they then pass down that money back to you. They pass down the profit that they make straight back to you. So it's kind of similar to something like Cardone Capital, where a bunch of investors put small amounts of money together, maybe £100 here, £100 there, £1,000 here and £1,000 there, and that company then goes out and buys a property. Maybe it'll refurbish it and sell it on, maybe it'll just flip it to someone else, maybe it'll use the property as a rental property and take in tenants, and then obviously the profit that they generate is then paid out to the investors. If you've made it this far into the video, then be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and watch some of my other videos. The sixth way you can invest £100 is invest more into your pension. Now this is a little bit more of an abstract way, because obviously if you put money into your pension, you can't exactly get it back that easily and that quickly. But pensions just have such a good return, because it's not just you that's contributing into it. Say if you contribute 2 or 3% of your salary, your employer will usually match that or put in even more. So therefore, if you're only putting in 2% of your salary each month, your pension pot might end up increasing by at least 4 or 5%, maybe even more. And then the pension company will go out and invest that money into the stock market, or maybe it'll buy some bonds or some options or treasuries and gilts and other bits and pieces like that. So not only are you contributing into it and your employer are contributing into it, but also the money gets invested and generates a profit that way. And not only do you get these like double returns, but it's also completely passive. You don't have to go and learn about the stock market or learn about investing and reading charts and other bits and pieces like that. You just find a pension company like Aviva and say, here's my money, take my money and make more money for me. And the last way you could invest £100 is to flip items from somewhere like eBay. And I'd advise flipping items that you know quite a lot about. Maybe you're really into phones and you know the difference between an iPhone 8 and an iPhone X, or the difference between 64 gig and 256 gig. Or maybe you're really into trainers like Yeezys and you know which pairs go for more than others. You can then go onto eBay and look for people selling their products like phones or shoes via the auction. And you can then bid on these products and win the auction as long as it's for less than you can resell it for using the buy it now method. You'll probably need to calculate how much you can buy it for beforehand and make sure to include the selling costs and obviously the profit that you want. Maybe you know that an iPhone 8 will resell for about 250 quid because you've seen some products being bought at that price. Say if the selling costs are 15 quid and you want to make at least 50 quid per phone, you just need to make sure that you're winning auctions for 220 quid or less, and you'll be making profit every single time. Hopefully these tips will really help you to invest your first £100. Hopefully it will teach you to learn a new skill, like trading, or maybe just how to earn even more money. And as always guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to check out some of my other ones. Alternatively, subscribe to the channel and ding the notification bell. That way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers!